So, first of all, I gotta say, I'm not very fond of Jimmie's parents. Um, so Jimmie loves the idea of Japan, and he loves the language and whatnot, and so in high school he takes Japanese as a second language, and I believe it's like when he's in his high school years, at one point he tells his parents that he wants to visit Japan, and his mom immediately starts criticizing him and telling him what a stupid idea it is, and his dad's completely indifferent, and according to Jimmie, this is kind of like par for the course with his parents. And in college, he runs into a guy who speaks Japanese, and he's excited to tell him about, show him his own Japanese skill, and the guy tells him that basically he speaks like 3-year-old Japanese kids speak a little bit better than he does. And he points out that he already has like the basics of, sentence structure and whatnot. He has enough of a foundation to build up on, and that there is a position where they need someone who can translate between Japanese and English. And while he can understand English, and it's interesting because I actually have worked in places where people speak predominantly Spanish, and I try to speak Spanish to them, and it comes out as a kind of weird Spanglish. And one of the girls spoke to one of her friends who is fluent in English and Spanish, and explained it to her, and she explained it to me that I can speak English to her and she would understand me fine. She would just answer me in Spanish because she understands English better than what she speaks English. And I completely understand that, because somebody can speak Spanish to me, and I would answer them in English because I understand it better than I speak it. And Jimmie is the same way, to where when people start speaking Japanese to him, he's got one friend he says that speaks Japanese to him, and he always answers in English, and she gets frustrated with him and says, "You obviously understand me. Why can't you just answer me in Japanese?" And like that little part of his brain can't click over for whatever reason, or struggles to click over. Apparently, except for when he's asleep, because when he's half asleep, one friend, when he's in Japan, wakes him up, and he's telling them, he gets breakfast in him and everything and talks with them, and they tell him that he basically had a full-on conversation in fluent, rapid Japanese with them, basically complaining about waking him up because he felt he was getting woken up way too early, which it wouldn't be too early if you weren't out drinking with your friends and going to karaoke bars all the time, Jimmie. But he gets this job, and they know that he can't speak the language well, but they still want him for the job because he already has that foundational base that he could learn more Japanese and have a better time learning more Japanese than somebody who's starting with no Japanese at all. So they pay for him to go to college to learn Japanese, and he spends 2 years in a college education getting educated in Japanese. During this time, he is married with a daughter, but they're divorced and apparently still living together. And I can understand that, because I've known a lot of friends who have gotten married young, and then they just can't afford to not live together for the time being. But they get along well enough to be in the same space. They just aren't good lovers, so while he's on college campus, at one point he sees an advertisement for a Japanese Homestay program, and he talks to his wife at the time about it and asks her, and he's trying to convince her that this is a good move for him and would be great for helping him with his Japanese, because he would be exposed to the language and the culture, and he could probably learn it faster, which he does. And she completely agrees, and he points out, I'm not sure if she was being supportive or if she was just tired of me at that time and just wanted to get me out of her face for a while. And as the reason I say I know that there is some concern between the two of them is because he does sign up for the program. He does go to Japan. He gets a phone card and gets himself a phone, but by the time that he gets a phone, it's been quite a few days, and when he calls back to let his ex-wife know that he made it all right, she absolutely puts him on blast for waiting so long to contact her to tell him he's safe. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, we're not married anymore, but you still have a child here that's waiting for you to come back. You are coming back, right? And I love that this is a nonfiction book, but it also reads as kind of a low-key romance, because he goes here and he's like, I am just learning, I just want to experience the culture, I want to experience the land, I want to get better with my language, I want to get myself some friends, maybe potentially that live here that I want a reason to come back. I am not looking for a relationship at all whatsoever. Hard stop, not looking to fall in love. And he ends up falling for a girl. I am not going to try and say her name because I don't know that I would pronounce it right. I'll give it a shot. Kaori? Probably saying it wrong. But he meets her, and he also meets a guy named Fuchi who becomes his kind of Japanese BFF. And Fuchi, holy cow, he's a funny guy. he likes to play a joke, but because he doesn't understand some of American culture and the nuances and the faux pas in America, he sometimes uses I won't even say our language, but like words that are used in America in a certain way, he uses it, and Jimmy keeps trying to tell him, you can't say that word. You can't call people that word. It's incredibly insulting, and at one point the guy is like, well, nobody in that room knew what I was talking about. And he says, every one of the college kids and high school kids that we came here with do. They know exactly what you said, and I now have to go and tell these high school kids that you have no idea what it means and why it's incredibly rude and disrespectful to call somebody that. And so eventually he gets it through to Fuchi that this is not something to joke about. And Fuchi, for his part, he uses the words because he's heard it in some of our music. Most commonly our rap music. And because he hears it there, he thinks it's okay to say, and that it's a funny word. But Jimmy is able to finally get it through to him that how rude and how terribly bad it is. And Fuchi is like, oh, okay, I understand now. And once he understands, like most of us Americans, the decent ones anyway, he abstains from saying it because he understands the incredible rudeness behind that word. And Jimmy is very clear about this, that he uses the word because he didn't know. And once he is educated on it, that he realizes, okay, we don't use that word. And he is a very good guy. He's a funny guy. He teaches, if you've ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and you see the three brothers messing with Ian while he's trying to learn Greek, and he'll say something like, hey everybody, how do I tell everybody that we need to go inside now? And his brothers are like, oh, you say this is how you say it in Greek. And he says the words exactly how they tell him. And everybody starts laughing at him because he's said something that is kind of embarrassing and almost inappropriate of, hey everybody, I just want to let everyone know that I have 3 testicles, and everybody starts laughing at him, and he's like, oh, and he turns to his future brothers-in-laws, and they're like, okay, and he goes chasing them through the yard. The parents are very clear about, yeah, our sons are jerks. And so he'll ask one of the brothers, how do I tell your mother that she made a good meal? And he'll say something incredibly rude and inappropriate to her instead, because that's what he told her. And the parents will look at him, and then they look at the brother and slap the brother upside the head. This is what Fuchi is. Fuchi likes to mess with Jimmie, so when Jimmie says, hey, what do I say, how do I say this? Fuchi will say, okay, you have to say this, and then this is the end sentence word for this particular thing. So, like when he's giving directions, he tells him, okay, the end sentence for giving directions is you tell him this direction, and then you tell him this word. And then that gets you where you want to go, and they understand that. And he's like, okay, great. And he does this several times, and at one point it takes him years before somebody finally looks at him and says, why do you say that? And he's like, isn't that the end sentence word? And she's like, Jimmie, every time you give somebody directions and then you say that word, basically what you're saying is, hey, go up here and go right, you bastard. And he's like, oh. And he looks over at Fuchi, who is doing his best not to just bust up laughing. And yeah, like I said, that's Fuchi. He is an incredible, he loves a good practical joke. He loves to be funny. And he, like Jimmie says throughout the book, you really get to know Fuchi as being a decent guy. So, and he was reluctant to include that part in the story because he didn't want people thinking badly about his friend Fuchi, because he didn't do it inconsiderately or to intentionally be offensive. And I love that Jimmie was willing to say, hey, this is why he did what he did, and it mattered because part of the story that he was telling, where he's telling the story where Fuchi is constantly saying this and he's trying to get him to stop, and finally he pulls him off to the side and it explains in no uncertain terms why this is a terrible thing, and because he just couldn't, during a lot of the times, he just couldn't really get him aside to tell him, because if he told him during other times that he did it, he would have been putting him on blast in front of an audience of people, and in Japanese culture that's just, then Jimmie would have been the bad guy, because yes, what he did was wrong, but there's a way of telling him a time and place. And so when Jimmie finally does get a chance to explain it, he explains it to him, and Fuchi does stop. And I'm glad that he includes this in here, because it's a great reminder of the cultural differences that when other countries are hearing our music and hearing our media and watching shows that are based in America, and they see these different interactions, sometimes they don't understand some of the nuance behind it. And sometimes, so like they might see a TV show where you have people playfully calling each other a word, and for them it's fine because it's established for them that it's fine, but for the general populace it's not. For instance, you wouldn't run around calling just any woman the B word, but you and your best friend might do that, and like, hey girl, what's up? And instead of a girl, you would use the B word. And you and your friend have established between you that that is okay. But you're not going to sit there and say that to the barista who's serving you, like, hey girl, can I get a coffee? You might say, hey girl, but you're not going to say, hey B word, can I get a coffee? You know, in a playful way, because that's just not appropriate here. And I don't imagine that it would be appropriate anywhere, actually. But, so I like that he did include that because it shows how different we're perceived in different countries, and how he's able to not only at first explain it in a way he thought was a good way, and then find out that, oh, I did not explain that well at all, because now he's calling me that, and that's no bueno. They go... I also love that he takes us day by day. Every chapter there's 17 chapters, and he's there for 17 days. And, oh, come on. Yeah. So he leaves on, he gets there, or leaves the 6/12/03. This takes place in 2023, so he's there, basically from, I think, Friday, June 13th to, July 7th. So, yeah, about roughly 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so. Let's see. That's a full week, and then that's a full week. And then, oh, there's more than 1 week, more than 2 weeks. So, yeah, sorry. Reevaluate. So the first weekend he's there Friday through Saturday, and then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he's there about 3 weeks. He's there about 3 weeks. My bad, I thought it was 2 weeks. But anyway, he takes it day by day. Each chapter is a different day, and he is explaining what's going on, his new friends that he's with, the girl that he takes an interest in. They do spend a lot of time at the karaoke bars. This is one of the reasons why I can't go to Japan, because I would be expected to go to a karaoke bar, and I can't sing. You hear my voice, right? Okay? I cannot sing. I cannot carry a tune to save my life. It's not happening. Okay? And I don't have a problem embarrassing myself, clearly. But, you take into account, first of all, you've got this, karaoke bar, and you've got this screen, and sure, I know certain songs. What I do not know is any form of kanji or other forms of Japanese writing or language. I don't even know how to say hello, let alone rock your body. Okay? I'm not gonna be any good. I'm gonna be completely useless at a Japanese karaoke bar, I promise you. American karaoke bar, sure, I'll get up there and make a fool out of myself, because at least I can read the words. I may not sing great, but yeah, I'm not getting in a Japanese karaoke bar. I don't know the language, I don't know the songs, and I will just stand there staring at the screen like, huh? Not gonna happen. But yeah, there are some adventures that Jimmie takes, that some are good, some are better than others, but there are some that this is one of the things I hate about doing group tours or group traveling, is because there's always a schedule, and it's always a tight schedule. So, like on Monday, Jimmie gets up and his guide, Fuchi, takes them on this whirlwind, and they're running around doing all these different things. They're going to temples, they're going to malls, different things like that. And there's a lot of things that they're experiencing that Jimmie wants to be able, like me, like anybody, to hey, let's take our time here and really explore this area and find out what's going on and see what we want to see and really experience it. And it's like, okay, and here's the temple. This is this, this is this, this is that, this is this, and we're out. Wait, this is what? You know, and so there are a lot of times when they're on a tight schedule and Jimmy is frustrated because he wants to be able to take his time. And it makes sense that as he's going through, he's falling in love with the country, and there's times when he's like, do I really need to go back? And it's like, dude, no, necessarily, but you do have an infant daughter waiting for you. If nothing else, you do have a child you are responsible for. So yes, you have to go back. And he is very aware that he has a child. He is not a deadbeat dad. But he does toy with the idea of, you know, I could just move here and I could, you know, move my family here. It would be fine. I mean, I speak the language well enough that I could get a job. I could get, you know, I could do this. Like, his plan isn't to move there and forget that he has a family. The idea is to move there and bring his family to Japan. But he does decide eventually that he has to go back home. And when he does go back home, there is a mourning and a relief at the same time. Like, oh, thank goodness I'm going back home to my daughter and to my world and my country and where I know things. But, oh, how sad it is that I'm leaving here as well. So he's got that, I don't want to leave, but I need to go home, and I miss my home. He misses being in America. He misses his daughter. He misses everything. And so there's a kind of a back and forth feeling that he has of, I'm glad to be going home, but I'm also glad to have been here and definitely want to come back. And he does make subsequent trips back to Japan. As a matter of fact, he talks about the possibility of writing another book, and if he wrote another book, I would definitely read it. And yeah, I enjoyed the book. I don't know that it makes me want to go to Japan. I know a lot of people have, I looked at some of the reviews after I finished it, and a lot of people have either been to Japan and said that they read this and they wanted to go back, and others have read it and said, now I really want to go see Japan now after reading this. And for me, that wasn't the case. I love that he loved Japan. I love that there are people who do love Japan and want to go and see it. It's not on my bucket list. If I do end up in Japan, I know a little bit more I have a bit more insight of what to expect, and that's great. But I've still got my eyes on Ireland, to be honest, so that's my bucket list destination. I think of Ireland in the same way that Jimmy thinks of Japan. I definitely want to go and check out Ireland. May or may not be because I'm a Princess Bride girly, but also because I just love the thought of Ireland. I have a lot of the YouTubers that I follow and Instagrammers and whatnot are in Ireland, and the things that they show, there's a couple that there's one, Clissair, she does Airbnbs in Ireland. There's another one, Aideen, who does different things, different places to eat, different places to shop in Ireland, and definitely makes me want, those videos definitely make me want to go and check out Ireland. But I can also see how somebody could read this and want to go to Japan. And like I said, I don't have a desire to go to Japan after reading this, but I definitely feel like I have a better understanding of what to expect if I did go to Japan. And so I appreciated that. Like I said, if he comes out with another book for more stories of Japan, I will absolutely buy it and read it. The links for this book will be in the description below, and I will definitely look and see if he's got any other books like this, and if he does, I'll link those as well, because when it comes to a series, you can't just stop at the first book. You gotta go on, unless you don't like the first book. If you don't like the first book, don't go to the second book. Just ditch the series, because there's so many different series out there, and there's so many great series out there that you don't have time for a bad series. So if you're not enjoying a series, stop reading the series and go on to another series that you will enjoy. But this is one. I enjoyed the book. I will read the next one. And if there is another one out there, I'll link it to you so that you can get both if you want both of them. Of course, my book will be linked down below as well, as usual. Until then, I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye.